Hello, today we're going to start our yoga practice. In this segment, I like to explore some poses that are pretty restorative, and we're going to move slowly and start talking about the breath and practice that. Um, but also think that these beginning poses, we're going to be on the floor for most of this part and explore positions of the pelvis, repositioning the spine, opening the shoulders, activating a sense of movement in the core as we breathe, and and start to create aliveness while we are in a pretty relaxed way on the floor. So when you're ready, and yeah, before I lie down, one thing that you could have we're going to support the hips higher at some point in a bridge shape. If you have a block or a couple towels or a couple books that you can use to support your pelvis when you're lying down, that can be nice. But if you don't have anything, don't worry, you'll be fine. So let's lie down. And take these first couple moments to first relax everything, right? Feel your body relaxing and supported by the floor. And as we keep the knees up, notice the soles of the feet on the floor and relax the toes. And make that weight even on the soles of the feet. That is something we come back to all the time, especially when we are in standing poses. And right now, as we have the feet grounded, pay attention to them. And we do so many things with the feet all day, and a lot of times we are not completely aware of what's going on with them. So let's give a moment to that. Notice the weight distribution across the front, the balls of the feet. So think of the area around the big toe and the fifth toe more or less with the same weight, and then create a little tripod with the center of your heel and feel that weight pretty evenly distributed on both feet. Bring with your mind attention to the pelvis and notice how you're distributing the weight, and maybe there is an unevenness, right? It's interesting to start noticing all these things that maybe we weren't aware of. With that same intention, go up into your lower back, into your mid back and upper back, and feel the spine in the center. If you have some achiness, some sensations that are different on both sides, feel the sides of the waist, the rib cage, come up to your shoulders and your shoulder blades and notice them. Is one shoulder lower and closer to the floor than the other? Is your position your head positioned in the center, or do you have a little tilt? And can you relax your arms equally down and turn the palms up and soften the fingers? Take another moment to feel your whole body in space. And then bring your awareness to the breath moving as it is. So you're not trying to change anything. And bring your mind to the breath. The mind, is described as a monkey mind, right? We most of the time are in that state, thinking and just following one thought after the other. See if you can observe that, but at the same time, try not to get lost in your thoughts and continuously come back to this moment. And right now, to the breath moving. Try to gather all the sensations. You have the sensations in the body, the ones that we were feeling a moment ago, and now the sensations of the breath moving. From there, let's start. Inhale in deeply into the abdomen. So try to breathe in, down into your belly. And as you exhale, feel the abdominal wall coming down towards the spine, towards the floor. And do a couple more of those abdominal breaths. Inhaling deeply and breathing down into the belly. And notice if you have tension. A lot of times we hold tension in the belly. So use the expansion of the inhale to relax all those muscles and your organs. And exhaling, releasing the abdominal wall down towards the spine. And you can to take all the air out, you activate a little further and draw the belly down actively to take all that air out. Now, as you take the next inhale, start in the lower belly, but then lift it up into the rib cage. And exhale, first feel the ribs compressing, concentrating, and then bringing the belly down towards the spine. And again, breathing into the belly and then the rib cage. And then ribs start compressing the lungs, and towards the end, you bring the belly in and even feel the pelvic floor, the base of the pelvis lifting as you take all the air out. Take another round, and as you expand the ribs, think of expanding them in all directions, evenly, out, down towards the floor, up into your collarbones. Breathing laterally and somewhat in the front, but you might be a little more familiar with that front side of the rib cage. Exhaling all the way out. And now let's add to this type of breath, moving the pelvis. So take an inhale deeply, stay relaxed. And as you exhale, press the floor with your feet as you have them nicely grounded. Lift the tailbone up, and it's just the tail that lifts. Your pelvis stays on the floor. Engage your glutes, the back of the pelvis, and your hamstrings, the back of your thighs, like pushing strongly. And as you inhale, release. So exhale, lift the tail, and bring that belly in. You maybe feel a little more hollow in the abdomen. And inhaling, releasing the pelvis, expanding the rib cage. Exhale all the way out as you leave the tail and reposition that pelvis in that posterior tilt, and inhaling back to your neutral spot. Right? So when you tuck the tailbone, keep going. Feel how the lower back lowers and lengthens. And we want that, right? A lot of times we have tension there. So this could be a nice moment to know how to control the pelvis in that posterior tilt to reposition the lower back and feel how that goes for you, how it feels. The next time you lift the tailbone up, with that intention, keep lifting everything up. So now the tail lifts, the pelvis lifts, and start lifting the lower back from the floor, the mid back from the floor, the upper back from the floor. Take a deep breath in when you get to the top, and exhaling, start coming down the same way. Upper back, mid back, lower back, bend the hips. Take a deep breath in and start that again. Exhaling, lifting the tail, lifting one bone at a time, like you're lifting a heavy chain from the floor. You're taking your time trying to articulate all those joints. Inhaling at the top and exhaling, coming down. Feel how your legs have to stay very strong. So then you can be relatively relaxed with your spine to allow for that movement. Inhale, one more. Exhaling, lifting, pressing the floor, lifting up, lifting up, lifting up. And let's lower down. So here comes the moment where we may use a prop to support the hips. If you don't have it, you can just stay here on the floor. But if you have it, if you want to lift the hips a little higher, press into that bridge again. Place the block on the back of the pelvis. So it's right on the back of the hips. The lower back can relax, right? It's nice and long. And your legs can be pretty relaxed as you get to feel this gentle back bend, right? Your front body is a little more open than your back body. And you feel the support of the block or the floor to relax the hips. Notice how the upper back feels a little bit of that pressure against the floor and maybe soothing, maybe nice and almost like a massage for those muscles in between the shoulders. Relax the head and feel a little stretch on the back of the neck, maybe. Take another breath. And then take an inhale. Exhale, press the floor, lift the hips. Remove the block, if you have one, and come down. Yeah, and then bring the soles of the feet together and open the knees down towards the floor. I'm gonna take a moment to stretch those inner thighs. Take a moment to notice how this position with the legs makes the pelvis tilt in the other way. Is the tail is pointing to the floor, the front of the pelvis and belly is more open, the inner thighs are stretching. So we are going to do very slow, mindful work with our core. So interlace your fingers behind the head, but for now, keep the elbows open towards the floor, just support your head on your hands, and take a deep breath in. As you exhale, squeeze the knees up towards the ceiling and towards each other as you keep the soles of the feet on the floor. You might need to slide the feet a little away so you can bring the soles of the feet down. Inhaling, open the knees in a controlled way. And as you exhale, think of engaging the lower belly, lifting the pelvic floor as you squeeze those inner thighs. Right? So you start feeling a sense of warmth, awakening of the very low part of your core. Pelvic floor, lower belly muscles associated with the inner thigh work we're doing. Inhaling, opening the knees, and exhaling, squeezing back in. The nice thing about having this long, smooth breath is that you can feel this cyclical, circular quality of the breath. And so as we start moving in a more of a, also that rhythmic way, see if you can follow your breath. And more than follow, wait for it. So the breath is actually the generator of your movements. Exhaling as you squeeze. Inhaling as we open. Now we can do the same thing with the elbows, squeezing them in and inhaling open. So feel how this makes you feel. As you squeeze in, you're protecting the front, you're toning that front body. And as you open, you feel a little more exposed, you're widening, opening the front. Exhaling, squeezing, engagement, tone there in the front, and inhaling, opening, widening, receiving, right? Exhale, squeeze, inhaling, open. Now let's start lifting the head. If you want, you can add this or not. Exhaling as you squeeze in, lift the head, but feel all that support from the lower part of your torso engaging. Inhaling, lower and spread. Exhale, squeezing and lifting. Inhaling, lowering and spreading. Full breath. Exhale, squeeze and lift. Inhale, lower and spread. Let's do one more, just like that. And maybe you're choosing not to lift the head, right? If for whatever reason you want to, and let's do another one, just to do less effort, you can just do the squeezing of the elbows. Now, squeezing, lift the head, bring the right knee up, lower the foot, spread. Exhale, squeeze, lift, lower, and spread. Let's do another one on each side. Squeeze, lift the right knee, comes on top of the hip, lower the foot, and spread, and squeeze, lift. Try to keep the lower back stable as you lower the foot. And open everything. Nice. Take a deep breath in, a deep exhale, release the hands, bring the knees back up towards each other, towards the chest. And let's do a twist. So bring the legs to the left side, open the arms across your chest, and take a couple of deep breaths here. Notice how when we're twisting, the breath wants to become more shallow, shorter. See if you can keep expanding the ribs and exhaling fully. Think how this movement of expansion of a contraction is not only creating a movement in the muscles and joints and fascia of your body, but also in all those structures that are internal, your organs, in your fascia, inside, right? All the viscera, all the organs are involved, like they are surrounded by connective tissue that gets to move every time that you take a breath. So it's like massaging your organs too, especially in this twisting way where we are giving an extra massage to those organs. Lift the right knee up, bring the left knee up, take an inhale, and exhale and bring the knees to the right. You might find that twisting is tough for some backs. They don't like it, so you can always make it less, right? You can keep the knee more open. You can extend the bottom one and bring only one leg. Maybe on the other hand, you want to make it more, so you can cross the top leg on top of the bottom thigh and finding a little more stretch on that outer hip and waist. Take again a couple more deep breaths. And if you're crossing the legs, uncross first. Lift one leg, lift the other. Bring both knees to your chest, your forehead to your knees. Engage everything. And here you can take a moment, and this is your practice, your short little practice of breathing and moving that way and coming into a moment of Shavasana. Or we can roll to one side, come up, and be ready to do another little sequence.